Hello friends, my name is Shayla and today I am here to do my mid-month wrap-up for you. So this is everything I've read in the last 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of January, and I'm going to go in the order that I read them rather than like star rating or anything like that. So let's just go ahead and dig right in here because I want to give you guys as much detail as I can and not keep you here all day. So the first book that I read this year was Apex by Mercedes Lackey. This is book 3 in her Hunter series, which is a YA fantasy series where we follow hunters and the creatures and demons that they hunt. So in this book, this trilogy as a whole ended up being about a 3-star series for me. While I did enjoy our characters throughout the series, this conclusion really left me wanting more. I did appreciate how mild the romance factor was in this trilogy. It didn't end up dominating the series like a lot of YA fantasies do, and I really did appreciate it for that. I did feel ultimately let down by this third novel because it felt so rushed. It mostly felt like it was action with a little bit of world time and a little bit of character time, which left me wanting more. Mercedes Lackey really started to crack open the world in this novel, and I was really looking forward to exploring that a little bit more. She introduced these amazing characters that I feel like she could have gone into so much more depth with and their importance in the world, and I feel like she just kind of skimmed over all of that. She did leave this world pretty wide open, so I'm hoping we get another series in this same world where she can explore all of the things that didn't get explored in this first Hunter series. So ultimately, I ended up giving this individual book 3 stars. I did enjoy it. The whole series as a whole is a 3-star, so if you like kind of that formulaic yet rushed YA fantasy series, this is a great one to pick up. I do like Mercedes Lackey's writing, so do take that away from this whole conversation. Next up is Saints and Misfits by S.K. Ali. I feel like S.K. Ali did a great job of immersing me in the Muslim religion and culture. I found this book hard to put down because I really wanted to know what was going to happen next. I found our protagonist, Yana or Jana, I don't know how you say her name, I found her to be very likable and relatable and just a down-to-earth teenage girl. I was really rooting for her throughout this novel, and that just added an extra level of enjoyment. I found the message of finding your voice and standing up to those individuals who may be picking on you, treating you wrong, all of those kind of things, whether they're within your religion or not, to be very relatable for me in my experiences in life. I feel like this book gives people hope to stand up for themselves and try harder to make sure that they are treated properly. There is a bit of a love triangle in this novel, but I didn't find it obnoxious like a lot of YA novels. I found both young men to be very likable, and I would have been happy with either guy that she chose. Jana does form a relationship with an elderly neighbor in this novel, and I feel like that just adds to the charm of this novel so much. I ended up giving this book 5 stars, and I highly recommend you pick up this book if you haven't. The next book on this list is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Laini Taylor has fast become one of my favorite authors and now an auto-buy author. I loved the character of Laszlo. He is just so sweet. My precious little cinnamon roll Laszlo. I just adore him. You watch him grow from a boy to a man in this novel, and I found that to be it just adds to the charm and whimsy of this fantasy story. This world was obviously fleshed out, full, beautiful. All of the writing just added to this lovely world, as Laini Taylor did with her Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy as well. The nature in which this romantic relationship comes to be is a little bit rushed for me, a little bit too insta-love for my personal taste, but I still found the relationship as a whole to be enjoyable, if that makes sense. I loved the mystery of our city of Weep in this novel, and I love how Laszlo feels so tied to Weep. It all makes sense by the end of this novel, and I really, really enjoyed my reading experience of this one. I really ended up enjoying this fantasy series, and I loved the journey that Laszlo went on. I am excited for book 2, and I can't wait. I literally can't wait to pick it up. Next up is Alana, the First Adventure by Tamara Pierce. And I don't know how I missed this series as a kid. It just was never on my radar. Maybe it's because I grew up in a house full of boys. I don't know. But all I know is I am reading the Tortall books for the first time. My friend April Sarah is doing a read-along over on her channel, so I will leave the link down below for the read-along so that you guys can choose to join in or not. It's up to you. In this book, Alana becomes Alan. It's that trope of a girl dressing as a boy, joining the military. I love this trope. I love it so much, and I don't care that it's a trope. I like it. So I love Alana as a character. I feel like she is just strong, has this amazing backbone and spirit, and I love her for it. I love the relationships and friendships that she forms throughout this novel, and I love how she grows in this first novel so much. I guess over this novel we're experiencing several years, so you get to see her grow, and it's really great. I really, truly enjoyed this novel. If you have not picked up this first Song of the Lioness Quartet series in the world of Tortall, like, I highly suggest that you do, because it's lovely. Next up is a book that I left at work, actually, so I don't have the physical copy, so I'm just going to insert a picture here, and that is How to Be a Boss by Lily Singh. This is one of the most visually stunning self-help books I've ever read in my life. All of it was very eye-catching, very bright colors, lots of photos, and it just made the experience very visual. And from a YouTuber, I really liked that aspect, that she tied that into her self-help book, as well as all the things that she shares. So the content in this book was solid. I would give it a 4 stars, honestly. I feel like she explores the creative process really well, so I would recommend this for any content creators, whether that's Instagram, YouTube, doesn't matter where you create your content. Like, I think you could get something from this book just because she herself is a content creator and is able to help you explore that process together. Everything else was very much like learning to love yourself for who you are and embracing that and being unashamedly yourself. And I really loved the book for that. Again, this is a 4-star book for me, and I highly suggest you pick it up if you're at all interested in it. Next up on my list is Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. I forgot how much I love Agatha Christie novels. The first Agatha Christie I ever read was her most well-known book, And Then There Were None. And then I decided, with the movie coming out, to pick up Murder on the Orient Express. I finally had a chance to read it, and I thoroughly enjoyed this read. I did not see the end coming. I gave this book 5 stars. I loved it. I plan on picking up more Agatha Christie in the future, just because I forgot how much I love her writing. When I read And Then There Were None the first time, I was like 7th or 8th grade. It was actually required reading in my English class. So I'm excited to pick up more Agatha Christie novels in the future. If you've been interested in Murder on the Orient Express at all, I highly suggest you pick up the book. Next up is Kitchen Princess. This is the first omnibus, so it's actually the first 2 manga books together in one. And in Kitchen Princess, we follow this girl who ended up orphaned, who ends up going to this very prestigious school for cooking, and all of her adventures there. There is a bit of a love triangle with brothers in this one. It is so cliche and so, like, shoujo manga, like, it's not even funny, but I don't even care. I think it is sweet and enjoyable, and I really just love it for what it is. I went in knowing exactly what to expect from this, and I'm just really enjoying it for what it is. You know, 4 stars, nothing earth-shattering, but I had a lot of enjoyment with it. And I do plan on picking up the other 2 omnibuses here soon. And last up, I've got 2 more. We're almost there. I read a lot of books in the first half of the month. So the first book I'm going to talk about is the second book in the Song of the Lioness Quartet, In the Hands of the Goddess. This picks up a little bit of time after, I think it's about a year's worth of time after Alana, the First Adventure, after all the events of that. This is about a year later, and a lot's been going on with our characters. They've introduced a cat familiar, which I love and adore this cat familiar. Like, it's It's life. It's almost my Kaladin. Give him a little bit of white and he would be my Kaladin. And I really just enjoy this novel as a whole. I'm really loving this series. And like I say, I have the link to her read-along information down below, so you know the pacing and the process, and you can join the Goodreads group and everything. So go ahead and check these books out if you haven't. This again was 4 stars. And last but not least is my most recent audiobook, and that is My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. I don't know why I took so long to pick up this book, but I absolutely adored it. And I actually really adored it in the medium of the audiobook, where this book is very much a satire. I felt like the narrator did a fantastic job of making sure you knew it was satire and that she was poking fun at everything going on in this novel. So for those of you who are unaware of what this is about, most of you probably do, but this is about the Lady Jane Grey, who was queen for 9 days and then beheaded. This is kind of a historical fiction / magical realism fantasy kind of story related to her. And I've really enjoyed this novel. It makes me even more excited for My Plain Jane that's coming out later this year. And if you have not picked this up and you're looking for something that's a good laugh, pick up My Lady Jane. Like, seriously do. It is so much fun. I thoroughly enjoyed the writing style. I loved the sense of humor of this book. And I just was able to enjoy everything that was going on. I knew going in that it was a satire. It wasn't going to take itself too seriously. So I was just able to let loose and giggle and just enjoy everything that was My Lady Jane. Again, I actually gave this 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So my friends, those are the 9 books that I read in the first 2 weeks of January. I know that's a really quick pace, really. I've just had a lot of downtime at work that hasn't required a lot of my other attention, so I've actually had some time to read, and so it's been enjoyable to kind of read some of these shorter, quicker novels. And I've had that audiobook, and I've just been able to really kind of immerse myself in some reading. And I know coming up here soon, I probably won't get nearly as much reading time, so these won't be nearly as long, but I did enjoy everything that I read this first half of the month. My lowest rated book was Apex, and I told you exactly the reasons why I was let down in regards to that one. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one.